The topic which I am going to take up for explanation, for discussion, is all the six systems, Sad-darsanas. Sad-darsanas in Indian philosophy. The first, a couple of lectures may be of a general nature, so that you are familiar with my terms, with the terms I use, and I can also be familiar to you, your background and your response to me. We use the word darshana not very literally, but as almost the equivalent of the word philosophy in the West. I doubt very much that even a student of philosophy who is trained in the college and university knows the real meaning of the word philosophy. Sometimes we study not knowing what exactly we study. This is certainly true with regard to philosophy. The term philosophy, etymologically, it means love of wisdom. Sophia is wisdom. Love of wisdom is philosophy. Love of wisdom. Sophia. Things come. Therefore, a philosopher is a lover of wisdom. Lover of wisdom. Sophia. Lover of wisdom. But even Western philosophers today do not use the word philosophy in the sense in which it is called originally, etymologically, as love of wisdom. If you look at the history of Western philosophy, the term has been used in different senses by different philosophers. No doubt Plato and Aristotle would understand the word philosophy in the sense of love of wisdom. But if you come to modern philosophy, beginning from the 17th century, the word has been used in different senses, and particularly in recent 100 years, philosophy is used only in the sense of analytic philosophy. One has to do a kind of analysis of the problems, and your statements, your language should convey this kind of analysis. And every 20 years or 30 years you find a new movement arising. So, philosophy is only analysis. Philosophy is linguistic analysis, not only analysis but linguistic analysis. Or logical analysis, sometimes it is called, then linguistic analysis, then phenomenology, Existentialism, hermeneutics, and so on, deconstruction. Now these are the movements I have referred to in the last 150 years or so. Now these philosophers do not bother about the original etymological sense in which the word philosophy has been used by the Greek thinkers, particularly Plato and Aristotle. Well, there is nothing wrong, but in all these cases also, you are in pursuit of wisdom by means of analysis, or linguistic analysis, or by phenomenology. That sometimes you restrict the scope, but originally the scope was not restricted. So, in the West, philosophy originally meant love of wisdom. Even that meaning still holds good today. But they would like to restrict the scope of philosophy, not in a very general way, but only to certain issues, certain problems. They think they are very important. But generally speaking, we would say that analysis is important, linguistic analysis is important, this particular method in philosophy is important, existentialist analysis of the human problem is important, interpretation of the text is important, deconstruction. Every time you try to deconstruct a position, there is a position, you deny it and reconstruct it. All that is needed. And philosophy has been doing all that. All that in pursuit of wisdom, in pursuit of knowledge. Wisdom may be a high-sounding word, but certainly we can use the word knowledge, in pursuit of knowledge. And this pursuit of knowledge is to be found in every discipline. A scientist also is in pursuit of knowledge. Scientists of various kinds, all of them are in pursuit of knowledge. But perhaps philosophy, in the sense of love of wisdom, has been the mother of all the disciplines. Well, this morning you saw that the chief guest was referred to as Dr. Jayakumar. Not necessarily a person, well, we perhaps use the word. Probably he is a doctor, an IAS man, doctor. We don't know. But the way in which he was able to take up a particular problem, analyze it, bring out the significance and all that one, I think that what he did was as good as an academic philosopher would do, academic student would do. And you will also notice that when the PhD is conferred, it is conferred on all the disciplines. So one may be wondering, why is it that a biologist gets a PhD degree, he is called a doctor of philosophy. In a general sense, namely, that he has pursued knowledge in a particular discipline by the study of the plant life or the animal life, or by the study of the elements of the world, whatever it may be. So it is in that general sense that we use the word. But darshana, literal meaning is seeing, vision. It is derived from the root, this will pursue to see. Seeing what? Seeing the truth. The vision of the truth. Well, I have not defined the truth. There is such a thing called the truth. There is such a thing called the reality. We pursue to the reality. The reality is the truth. Therefore, we use the word darshana. Darshana. The vision of the truth. Seeing the truth. It almost conveys the same sense as the word philosophy in the West. And the term darshana has been used not only by the Vedic systems, but by the non-Vedic systems like Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka. All of them are called darshanas. If the word philosophy can be used even in a restricted sense by a logical analyst or a linguistic analyst or a phenomenologist or an existentialist or one who does the work of deconstructionist, well, certainly I would not hesitate to use the expression, even to a thinker like Marx, he was in the pursuit of truth in a particular way. If you look at historically the emergence of Marx, he came after Hegel. What is known as the dialectical method of thinking, the dialectical process of thinking, we use the word dialectical. Dialectical process of thinking that was brought out by Hegel, the German thinker. He wanted to show that our human thinking proceeds from one point of view to another point of view. Just as a pendulum moves from one side to another side, and then back to back, it goes on moving. Human thinking also, it moves from one point, that one point you may call it as thesis, and the opposite point, the opposite side, the other side to which it moves may be called antithesis, and the clash between thesis and antithesis, because this is one position, this is the opposite position. The opposite position arises by examining this position. Everything is not true with regard to this position. Partly it is true, partly it is not true. And therefore, what is not true may be emphasized by antithesis. Then once again there is a clash between these two ideas, this idea and this idea, and therefore there emerges what is known as synthesis. So synthesis is supposed to be at a higher level, embodying the elements of truth in thesis and antithesis, but still it goes up. When this becomes a thesis, synthesis in course of time will be a thesis, then it may lead to antithesis. Once again, there is the emergence of synthesis. This way, the dialectical process goes on. That is true. That is true. Take this simple instance. We had reform movements. I don't go into the conceptual thinking. Take a movement. In our modern period, say beginning from the 18th century, end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century, we had several reform movements. Take just two reform movements, Brahma Samaj followed by Arya Samaj. Take a movement, not a particular thinking. That may be rather difficult for us to understand. Brahma Samaj, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He started this movement, Brahma Samaj. A sub-movement of that is Pratana Samaj. But take the whole movement, Brahma Samaj. Then why is it that Arya Samaj followed it, came into existence? There were certain one-sided aspects in the Brahma Samaj. To rectify those aspects, Dayananda Saraswati, and he took up some other issues, challenged the Brahma Samaj, and then his position came to be known as Arya Samaj. There were common elements between the two. If you read the Brahma Samaj and its doctrines, and then why it is called a reform movement, you can understand that, all that one. Arya Samaj did not reject in total the Brahma Samaj, no. It retained many of the elements. Wherever there was some kind of a deficiency, it was rectified, and then more Arya Samaj came into existence. So, if Brahma Samaj is the thesis, Arya Samaj is the antithesis, then a synthesis came, therefore the other movements came into existence. Theosophical Society came. But even that was not sufficient, then came Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement, other movements. Take the Vaishnava tradition. How many Vaishnava traditions we have? Quite a few. Quite a few. It's an interesting study. And so, I was just trying to show the contribution of Hegel to philosophical thinking, and Marx adopted the dialectical thinking of Hegel, dialectical process, and then there were certain one-sided aspects in his thinking. Now, I am not interested in tracing all that. I am just interested in showing that all these movements, philosophical movements, which came from the beginning of the 17th century, we used to call it as the modern philosophy. We called it, roughly beginning with Bacon, Descartes, and others, the modern enlightenment movement, modern philosophy, the movement of enlightenment. Then it came up to Hegel, and then further development, and then subsequently in recent times they talk about logical analysis, linguistic analysis, phenomenological movement, existentialism, and so on. It goes on. And in recent times we are talking about Derrida's deconstruction and all that one. Now, all these people are not bothered about the original sense in which the word was used. Philosophy, as used by Plato, Aristotle, or Socrates. No. Now, we use the word darshana in the sense in which we speak of knowing the truth, having a vision of the truth, vision of the reality, whatever may be the truth, whatever may be the reality. And when we try to give a classification, we trace all the philosophical systems. I use the word philosophical school or sometimes philosophical system. A school or a system is that which refers to a set of doctrines, a body of doctrines. There are so many doctrines. All these doctrines taken together constitute the Nyaya system, or they constitute what is called the Vaisesika system, or the Advaita system, or the Ramanuja system. This is the Advaita system. So, a set of ideas connected with each other, or a set of doctrines connected with each other, that set of doctrines or ideas which hold together, which constitute a total philosophy, a holistic philosophy, that is called a system. That is called a system. Sometimes it is called a school. That by the school, that by the system. So, we are not quarreling about the use of the word system or school. Though there are scholars in India who quarreled over the use of the word Nyaya. I used to always refer to Nyaya, a very provocative thinker who is no more. He would object to the use of the word school. Then what about the system? Even for that he had his own reservations. But generally, whenever you use the word six systems, or the Nyaya system, or the Sankhya system, we have in mind a set of doctrines or ideas which hold together your position. They are connected ideas. If you start with A, then you move on to B, then C and D. All of them taken together constitute a system or a school. So, we have orthodox schools. The word again is not liked by so many people, orthodox. Because if you say that the Sad-darsanas are orthodox schools, what we mean is āstika schools, āstika systems. I given that in the classification. We use the word orthodox. The orthodox system, six systems: Nyaya, Vaisesika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa and Vedanta. I given the classification, you will find that in the scheme. I given the tabular form. Now, all of them are called āstika systems, and the English translation of that has been used for a long time is orthodox. And then the other category, the Charvaka system, Jainism, Buddhism, they are called heterodox. The very word orthodox seems to be allergic to so many people. I'm an orthodox man, I'm an orthodox person. What do you mean by saying I'm an orthodox person? Unfortunately, the word has been associated with a person who goes through a certain rituals and all that one, and very rigorously and all that. Everybody follows the tradition, and so a traditionalist, coming down to the varnashrama stratification and all that one. Well, he will be called an orthodox man. Oh, he is an orthodox person. It is not necessary in that sense. The word that has been used is āstika system. a system is called āstika in the sense that it affirms the existence of something. What that something is, Tatu Niragamas. Tatu, the reality, what may be. It exists. Asti, it exists. Well, I think that āstika will include with the existence of the individual, the jiva, you and I. How can there be pursuit of truth? Pursuit of truth is by someone, you and I. You and I, we are all called jiva. Anything that lives is a jiva. The cockroach in my room is also a jiva. And Swami, he told me this is the season when you are likely to see cockroaches coming into the room. No, we look at the wall and I say, yeah, that over there, that is a cockroach. It's a jiva. Mosquito is a jiva. I remember that Swamiji once told me, we don't harm them here because we are now occupying their places. And they were inhabiting this place, we have come here and then we have constructed buildings and all that one. Where will they go? So, according to me, we start with the existence of the jiva, yourself and myself. We are the seekers of truth. We are the people who pursue the truth. And therefore I am an āstika in that sense. There is some truth which I pursue. I exist. The world in which I live exists. The world exists. That is the truth, whatever it may be. God, put it any way you like. So, it is not necessarily accepting the existence of God or the belief in God. The word the āstika has been used not necessarily to a system which believes only in the existence of God. No. If you are going to apply that, the Sankhya is not an āstika system. Because the Sankhya system doesn't believe in the existence of God. Nirishvara Sankhya. They make a distinction earlier Sankhya and later Sankhya. But anyway, we are quite familiar with the later Sankhya. The Sankhya system as we have come to know through Sankhya-karika. Sankhya-karika. And the yoga system, yes, there is God. But God is a thinly existing entity in the yoga system. Only there was a professor at Mysore by name Raghavacha. He said thinly theistic. Not thickly theistic, but thinly theistic, because only for the purpose of meditation, in the yoga system, they accept the existence of God. An object of meditation, not a creator God. He went to the extent of saying even the Nyaya system, in spite of Udayana, the person who gave arguments for the existence of God, Udayanacharya, that also is thinly theistic. Because a theistic system, the full sense of the term, must accept the creator God in both the senses, as the Upadana Karana and also as the Nimitta Karana. Both of them must go together. That God should be, the creator God should be the material cause. Sanskrit word is Upadana Karana. Upadana Karana. Karana. And Nimitta Karana, instrumental cause. Nimitta Karana. God should be both the material cause and the instrumental cause. Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana. If you are going to apply that one, the creator God of the Nyaya system strictly cannot be called both. because there are eternal elements. And just as the potter is only a nimitta karana, given the clay and all that one, the wheel, the potter's staff, he is able to produce a pot. But did the potter create the clay? No. The existing clay was utilized by potter, and then he was able to have a wheel, a stick, he had a plan, and according to the design he had, he was able to fashion that clay into a pot. He is not the material cause. So, I used to enjoy this expression, thinly theistic, not thickly theistic. But if you come to Vedanta system, now take the Mimamsa system, there is no place for creator God. Most orthodox system, most orthodox. And I will say subsequently that only two systems are really orthodox, highly orthodox, Mimamsa and Vedanta. In the non-offensive sense, I am using the word orthodox. The two systems which are very closely related to the Vedas, the two systems are Mimamsa and Vedanta. Because Mimamsa took care of the Karmakanda portion of the Veda, and the Vedanta, the Uttarakanda or the Jnanakanda portion of the Veda. Other systems are also orthodox, highly orthodox, most orthodox, this is true. But anyway, we don't use the word orthodox because the word has been used in a very degenerative sense, in the sense in which you think of and identify a person or a way of life in a particular way. No, that was not the original intention. Some word you must use, you may object to the word. So āstika system and heterodox Naiskarmya, Charvaka is a materialist philosophy. There are different kinds of Charvaka systems, materialist philosophies. We don't know which we are referring to, but generally it has got a certain position. Now, instead of using the word orthodox and heterodox, nowadays we use the term Vedic systems and non-Vedic systems. Vedic systems are 6. Nyaya, Vaisesika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. Vedanta subdivisions. Mimamsa again subdivision. In the morning, Professor Muralidharan referred to the schools, the Prabhakara school and the Bhatta school. So āstika system 6 and Naiskarmya 3, Charvaka, Jainism and Buddhism. Charvaka is a materialist philosophy, still it is a darshana. Just as I would not hesitate to call Marxism a darshana. There is nothing wrong. There is one perspective. I don't think that anybody can claim that I have got a total perspective. That is, the position is entirely different when we talk about the Vedanta school. And because of my commitment or our commitment to Advaita-vedanta, probably I would put all the other systems a little down. Everyone has a point of view. Every person has a point of view. And in Madras University, our department, philosophy department, it has a history. In the morning I refer to the tradition, history. It has got a tradition. And I know the tradition up to T.M.P. Mahadevan. I served with him, I served under him. But the American Prof expression served with him. I studied with Davidson, not under Davidson. I studied with Davidson in Stanford. They say under Davidson means a typically Indian way of putting things. Under. Oh, under. You must say with. I studied with Davidson. I must say I studied with āstika. To me it's very obnoxious. I would rather prefer to say I studied under him than to say I studied with him. Though I have to study the text to him, he will be giving the meaning. In that sense I studied the text with him. Not for his benefit, but for my benefit. So, I know the Madras University philosophy tradition till the time of Dr. Mahadevan. Earlier there was Suryanarayana Sastry, who went to Oxford, is Bharata and all that. When he was appointed as a leader in Indian philosophy, the late Professor Sastry, I am told, objected to the appointment. The man who has returned from Oxford, who is a Bharata, who has not, who did not know at the time Sanskrit, how do you appoint him as a leader in Indian philosophy? Mudaliar justified, Vice Chancellor Mudaliar justified his appointment, and Suryanarayana Sastry justified his appointment as a leader in philosophy. He has been a show to most of us, including Mahadeva. He has translated Bhavadi, Chatusutri, Vivarana Prameya Sangraha, Sankhya Karika, and Saiva Paribhasha, Siddhanta Lesa Sangraha. How many? He showed the way. Study of a text and translation is necessary because for most of us we can't study the text. What do we do? Now, when we talk about the tradition, the Madras, the point I was referring to Dr. Maharan was, his commitment to Advaita was such that he would have the last word in any discussion, seminar discussion. Somebody may say Wittgenstein says, finally he says, what Wittgenstein says is included in Advaita. What Davidson has got to say, yes, here. What is it that is new? Sometimes there will be the charge against him that he was a reductionist. Finally, every philosophical position you would finally say, oh, this is Advaita. Because it is a total philosophy. And his commitment to that was such, not a blind commitment. And in the sense in which Swamigal was saying, he was proud of Advaita. Proud of Advaita. And therefore, all of us had the benefit. I was reader at the time when Mahadevan was the director of the center. I can go and tell anywhere. He was the reader, the director, I was there. Now, when there is such a commitment to a philosopher, we do have such a commitment. Why, if you ask the question, well, it's all the way in which you have an exposure, you have a cultural training. Every person, no person begins a de novo. There is always a background. It so happened that I studied under teachers exposed to Advaita. That tradition continues, and I am also convinced, and therefore I am committed to Advaita. Therefore I grade the systems. Don't ask the question, why do you grade? Well, after all, every person has got his own method of choice. You can choose. You can give the reasons why you choose. So, to most of us, Advaita is the final position. Final position. That's why Mahadevan used to say, because There has been a constant criticism against Advaita, that it is anti-theistic. Advaita is anti-theistic. There has been a criticism. Even now the criticism occurs in academic circles, anti-theistic. Because Ishvara, the creator God, is still one position down Nirguna Brahman or the Absolute. For the sake of analysis, say one position down. Here there is no hierarchy at all. That's why he doesn't believe in hierarchy. Ishvara is Brahman. And there is the question of one degree less. They say that Advaita goes up to Nirguna Brahman, NB, Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna Brahman is the highest reality. And when you are talking about the world and its creation and all that one, Nirguna Brahman assumes the form of Saguna Brahman. You say, assumes the form of Saguna Brahman. He is viewed as Saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman is Ishvara, because the creation of the world is possible for Nirguna Brahman only with the help of Nyaya. Mere Nirguna Brahman is of no use for all practical purposes. What is it Nirguna Brahman could do? You say Nirguna. It is not related to anything. It is trans-relational, trans-linguistic. You use the word trans with regard to anything that you know. Trans-categorization. You prepare a category of things. It doesn't fall within that one. It doesn't fall within metaphysics. Revati used the word metaphysics, epistemology in the morning. It doesn't fall within metaphysics. It is beyond metaphysics. It is beyond epistemology. Pramana pravati is beyond that. It is beyond logic. Therefore, Heidegger says the absolute, he calls it as being is ontotheology, ontotheological. Onto, it refers to metaphysics, theo refers to theology, theism and all that one. Logic, beyond metaphysics. Ontology is used in the sense of metaphysics. For the time being you have it like that. Metaphysics, study about reality. Study of reality is called metaphysics. Theology, study about God, Creator God and all that one. All problems connected with that. What we call theism, theology. Logic, you have Pramana Shastra. So, when you say Pramana Shastra, epistemology, logic, everything else. Heidegger is a recent thinker, German thinker. I am so much interested in him, Heidegger. Is a great metaphysician. Heidegger. What we call Brahman or absolute, he used to call as being, capital B. And this being or absolute, or what we call our Brahman, the supreme reality, that is beyond ontology, beyond the theology, beyond the logic. The moment you begin to bring this reality within the purview of metaphysics, within the purview of theology, or within the purview of logic, epistemology, it is not that pure, unconditioned absolute, it is not the pure, unconditioned Brahman, but it is Ishvara. then you take a position either theistically, or you could take a position metaphysically, or you take a position from the perspective of logic and epistemology. But it is beyond all that. That's why we say that yato vacho nivartante aparapya manasa saha. The word's speech returns. How does it return? Keeping company with the mind. That means neither by means of language you can say what Brahman is. There is a breakdown of language. If you want linguistic breakdown, there is a breakdown of even the mind. Mind stands for all that can be understood by your mind, your buddhi, your manas, beyond that. It is beyond our rational thinking. So, if we can understand any object, we must understand it through our mind. Then we try to communicate that to somebody else by means of language. So neither is it possible to comprehend it by the mind, nor convey what it is by means of language. Therefore, such an entity is beyond both language and mind. That is what the Upanishad text says, yato vacho nivartante aprapya, not prapya. That is Ramanuja. After reaching God, there is a difficulty in enumerating the qualities of God, says Ramanuja. Because samasta kalyana gunas are there. How can you enumerate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No, beyond enumeration. Enumeration has to be done only by the mind. But it is beyond the mind. Not that it has not reached Brahman, it has reached Brahman, but since it is not able to fully comprehend all the qualities of Brahman, the Upanishad text says aprapya. Which is not convincing to Amarayaka and others. They say no. No. The word aprapya is there clearly. Not having reached. He has not touched the tape. He fell down before that. He has not even touched it. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And he mara on the Kanchanama. No, nothing. Yes, it's a case of aprapya, not prapya. So Upanishad says, vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Neither this nor that reach with that one. Now such a position Heidegger holds. And therefore, those of you who find time to study Shankara and also to have a taste of Heidegger, to have it, then you find that Shankara is not the lonely thinker in the philosophical world who thinks in terms of Nirguna Brahman, who comments on the expression tadekam, tadekam, tadekam. In the Nasadiya Sutta, hymn of creation, tadekam, that one. And it is that one Heidegger calls as being. It is beyond metaphysics, ontology. It is beyond theology, beyond logic and epistemology. And therefore, unfortunately, he doesn't have a scriptural text, Heidegger. We have. The text says, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Mind will not regret that it is not able to reach. It can show, look here, you too have not been able to reach the goal. So we will keep quiet with regard to Brahman, but we will come into operation with regard to everything else. So, I would admit, persons who closely study Heidegger would say, oh, He is Shankara of the continent of recent times. Just as I said last year in lectures, Parmenides is a Shankara of the pre-Socratic times. We can say that. After all, philosophical thinking is not the possession of any person, any group of these persons. Throughout the world we have got the philosophical problems. The same problems are discussed. We are not discovering anything new. We are trying to discover only the truth that is enshrined in the tradition. Even that is difficult for us. It is that is the difference between a philosopher and a scientist. We are not interested. We can't discover anything new. It is not our aim. Truth is there all the time. It's eternal. So, we have a broad classification of systems into two categories, orthodox and heterodox, or what we call āstika and nāstika, or if you want with modern expression, Vedic systems, non-Vedic systems. There is a difficulty when we use the word non-Vedic. In what sense is Buddhism non-Vedic? In what sense is Jainism non-Vedic? In what sense is Charvaka non-Vedic? There are difficulties. Because Buddhism has not rejected the Vedas entirely. Similarly, Jainism too has not rejected. If you consider the ethical side of the whole thing, not the metaphysical side, yes, Buddhism doesn't believe in the kind of ritualism that has been suggested in the Vedas. Okay. So also Jainism. But if you consider the ethics that is taught in the Vedas doesn't have any ethical views. It does have. It does have. And the law of karma, take the law of karma. It is the common possession of all the systems, leaving out the Charvaka. Just as the Vedic systems, the 6 orthodox systems accept the law of karma, when so Buddhism and Jainism accept the law of karma. The cycle of birth and death, which can be stopped only by attaining the right knowledge. So, even this classification of philosophical systems into Vedic and non-Vedic, we are understandable. Strictly speaking, can be questioned because we don't say those who follow the orthodox system, we don't say that Buddhism and Jainism were able to develop independently of the Vedas. No. It is only by depending upon the Vedas they developed their own position. They did not accept certain views, and therefore they formulated a kind of a system in the lead of Gautama Buddha. And Jainism is ancient, more ancient than Buddhism, and they refer to a long genealogy. How long is that we don't know, but admittedly it has also borrowed from Vedic systems, Vedic tradition. And so, classifications of systems if you give, in whatever way you try to give, people will object to. That is the critical thinking that we have. Why should you call it Vedic, non-Vedic? Orthodox, heterodox, they say unhappy. Perhaps we can say āstika and nāstika. But āstika we have to give the interpretation. Āstika not in the vulgar sense of the term, but in the liberal sense of the term. So we have admitted the Sankhya as an āstika system, and we have admitted Mimamsa as an āstika system. Therefore, Contextually they have to decide. Contextually they have to decide. There are broad accepted principles which bring them together under one category, āstika, and similarly they got the Naiskarmya. Therefore, there are 6 Advaita-vedanta, and here also it's not just 3. We say there are actually 6. How? Now it is Professor Hirian who follows this classification. He says, he gives a general statement which I have quoted there. So there is a general statement, history repeats itself. History repeats itself. That is very much true even with regard to the Indian systems. Indian philosophical systems have repeated themselves twice. Once in the case of the āstika systems, another in the case of the Naiskarmya systems. Now, Naiskarmya systems, generally we mention 3. Charvaka, Jainism, and Buddhism. Jainism, Buddhism, Charvaka. In Buddhism, they got the Theravada school and the Mahayana school. There are 2 systems in the Theravada and 2 systems in the Mahayana. Sautrantika and Vaibhashika. Theravada is once again Hinayana. Mahayana, Hinayana is used the word. We objected to use the word Hina. It's a contemptuous term. Don't use the word Theravada. Theravada Buddhism is prevalent in Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and wonderful. Mahayana Buddhism again too. Vijnanavada, there are 2 names for that, Yogachara or Vijnanavada. Yogachara or Vijnanavada. And Madhyamika. Another term is Shunyavada. Madhyamika, otherwise called Shunyavada. Vijnanavada, Vijnana. Or Yogachara. Now, the first 2 in Theravada, Sautrantika and Vaibhashika, they are realistic systems. Now I will tell you what we mean by realism, what we mean by idealism. There were 2 realistic systems. A system is called realistic. If it accepts the existence of the things of the external world, it believes in the existence of the things of the external world independently of the knower. I am the knower, I see the table, I see this paperweight, I see this glass tumbler. Now, its existence is not dependent on me. It exists independently of me. The tree and the mountain and the river, all of them. I am the knower, all of you are knowers. These things exist independently of all of us. I do exist. In addition to me, I am not the only existent entity in the world. In addition to me, there are things of the world, such as the tree and the table and so on. They exist independently of the knower. Any philosophical position which says that things of the world exist independently of the persons, the knowers, the cognizers, then such a position is called in philosophy a realistic position. Realism, realistic. Nothing confusing, but very clear. I am here and the table is here. Did I create the table? No. The carpenter might have created, but how did he create the table? With the help of the wood and the nails and all that one. Did he create the wood? No. You go on asking the question. Ultimately you will say that, oh, they have been created by a creator God. The carpenter has only given shape to that in a particular way. So he is a creator in one limited sense. Maker in one limited sense, not in the absolute sense. Creator God. And can I not claim to be a creator? I wrote a book. Yeah, you wrote a book. But still, I don't think you are a writer, but don't say you are a creator. Because I did not create a paper. I did not even typeset. Nyaya did that. My secretary. But can we not claim any kind of creatorship at all? It's a serious philosophical question. Swami Vidyaranya answers that by saying there are two kinds of srishti. I go back and forth. I don't strictly follow the order here. And the Panchadasi, Vidyaranya says that there are two kinds of creation. Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti we can understand, the things of the world. The Panchabhutas and all of them. Start with the Panchabhutas. How did he create it? We say with the help of Maya. Then all of them are the products of Maya. We give the creation story. We are very clear because we have the support of scripture. That is the great advantage we have in the Indian tradition. Of course, that is the criticism that we are dogmatic. We can answer that question, dogmatic. Our philosophy is an authoritative philosophy. But if Marx gives us something, it is not authoritative. If Heidegger says something, it is not authoritative. Any pronouncement that a person makes in a definite way is authoritative. Just now I have been telling, with a sense of consciousness and pride, that Shankara's Advaita is at the top. I make an authoritative statement. You may say that a philosopher should not speak like that. How does his philosopher speak? He cannot say, well, I hold a view, I am rather confused, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. Are you arguing for a Jaina position? Sad-darsanas. It seems to me, in a philosophical discourse, there is no time for you to think. You think and then speak. What stories for everything? In near Pune, there is a Amalner Institute of Philosophy, even now it is there. Sometimes that some name, proper names will not come immediately. Malkani was the founder of the school who went to Cambridge and returned. Absolutely, he will not give any quotation or endnotes or footnotes or any of his writings. He founded that school. He got the support. Amalner Institute. Some are great Indian thinkers like K.C. Bhattacharya and others were trained there. In recent times, my own contemporary, senior contemporary, Shah, Tejas Shah. He also was there. And it seems when Shah had his own, Tejas Shah, he had his own mannerisms. Everybody has got his mannerisms. And he will always say, scratching the head, I think and all that one. And Malkani doesn't have any patience with this kind of I think and all that. Well, Shah, you know that this is a seminar in which you are presenting a paper or you are going to speak about something. You should have thought about the matter at your room and come here. And after having come here, don't say in mannerism repeatedly. Just as some people in conversation say, you know, I went there, you know. Hey, you are reporting to me just now. Just now you are telling me. I saw you, you know, that day. And so, you would say that you think in your room and come here and don't think and say that this is a seminar. Already the topic has been announced to you. That means that we can be sure about a particular position that we don't have to hesitate, maybe right or wrong. If every person is able to speak the truth, final truth, then there will not be any history of philosophy, any historical development. In India also we find that. Take the Advaita tradition. There were two traditions, the Bhamati tradition and the Vyavahana tradition, and somebody adds one more. And it may be revealing to you, Swamiji, to know that recently I received a book in which they say that Sureshwara, Padmapada, all these people are not the direct disciples of Shankara. Shankaranarayan, the former director of the ICPR library. It's a shock. I think that after some time you will say that even Shankara's historical person could be doubted. I received the book. And I was telling Vinayam repeatedly, time will come when he will deny the existence of Shankara. So now one step he has come forward, Sureshwara, Padmapada, these people are not the direct disciples of Shankara. There is such a time gap, and he is quite sure about history, there is such a time gap between Shankara and these people. How does he know the time gap? That is what historians say. How do you rely upon all the historians who say, yeah, they have been revising the views from time to time with regard to the past records, prehistorical time, or even the beginning of the historical time. It is atrocious. There is a limit also to allow your imagination to function. And therefore, how is it that they get, I have talked with Hiryanna, I go back to Hiryanna. It's very difficult to go back to the point from time to time. Hiryanna says that there are, history repeats itself twice, even philosophically, and there are 6 systems, Vedic systems, Orthodox systems, āstika systems. There are again 6 Nastika systems. He counts like this, Charvaka. In Theravada Buddhism, 2 important schools. They don't agree. Sautrantika and Vaibhashika. Sautrantika. Probably I have written the analysis and I try to give one spelling. Sautrantika and Vaibhashika. And Theravada is the modern term. Previously we used to call Hinayana. This is Mahayana. 2 schools, Yogācara or Vijñānavada. There is a thorough criticism, threadbare criticism by Shankara in the 2nd Adhyaya when he examines the Vijñānavada. He doesn't have anything good to say about Mahayana, Sunyavada. Briefly he disposes it off. The other 2 also were taken up together. Therefore, all together there are 6 systems. Charvaka, Jainism, Sautrantika, Vaibhashika, Yogachara, and Sunyavada or Madhyamika. That means 4 different perspectives we have altogether in Mahayana, taken together 6 orthodox systems, 6 heterodox systems. History has repeated itself, even in philosophy. Clear now. We continue tomorrow.